Carter and Reese are in a bar and she asks again how this gig really works. Reese proposes that they work on a new number, a man sitting behind them with a girl. But here is the twist.
That's his girl.
They take care of the situation and Carter arrests the girl. The machines gives out a new number. Tommy Clay lives in Queens and is married and has a son. However, he works in armored services, which puts him at a higher risk already. Reese is to infiltrate and work under him. Finch notices something, a single license plate seen multiple times tailing the truck in one day. Fusco tells Reese that the HR is shaking down thugs to get their money out since Elias drained every last penny. Turns out that the license plate was of former armored vehicle guards who were caught in a robbery that had been following them. After getting their breakfast, back to work they go. From place to place, they pick up the valuables, and even with the most expensive ones, they don't get robbed. This bothers Finch, and suddenly, the truck is attacked. Reese takes down the shooters, but gets shot. Turns out that Tommy was the threat all along. Carter takes care of Reese in the hospital, and turns out that Tommy had a second phone to contact the attackers. Carter interrogates his wife and takes out a diamond bracelet box. His wife is unaware of that, and Finch is in the breakfast place the guards were in earlier. The serving lady had the diamond bracelet, Tommy's affair. Bluejacking her phone, Tommy's location was found. Reese goes to the place, but the attackers are found dead. Tommy is not there, and the door starts to unlock. Turns out it's Fusco, sent to pick up the package for HR. The higher-ups are mad at Fusco and will be going with him wherever they go. Ashley leaves work and finds Reese in her car. Tommy and Ashley were supposed to leave together, but Tommy never came. He uses the password Ashley for everything, and Finch tracks down his new number. He's going to a boxing ring to turn in the platinum for the money. He confronts Tommy and takes him down, but Ashley was in on this game all along with Tommy, aiming at Reese. Tommy ties him up, and Reese realizes something shocking. Tommy was not only the perpetrator this time, but also the victim. This member was both. Ashley shoots Tommy and tries to run away, but the HR shoots her. The captain sees Reese and is about to kill him, but Fusco takes him down. At the end, Reese and Finch are confused about his number.
Did we actually accomplish anything here?
In the flashbacks of 2010, Reese is on a mission. Karen is investigating someone, and Reese changes his SIM card. It's a voice message by Jessica, and Reese calls back. Jessica was in despair and needed someone to talk to.
I'll be there in 24 hours. Wait for me.
His plans are forced to change when Snow arrives with Alicia Corwin. They assign Reese and his partner Stanton to retrieve a laptop containing stolen software from a research facility in Ordos, China. Privately, Snow gives Reese a separate order. Once the mission is complete, but before extraction, he must eliminate Stanton. Upon reaching Ordos, Reese and Stanton discover that nearly everyone at the research center has been gunned down. A wounded technician manages to whisper to Stanton in Chinese that attackers took the machine and pleads for relief from his suffering. However, Stanton doesn't reveal the mention of the machine to Reese. As they locate the laptop, Stanton secretly hides it in her own backpack. They set up glow sticks for extraction, but before Reese can carry out his orders, he hesitates. Just as he prepares to confess his mission to Stanton, she shoots him first. Having received identical orders from Snow, he manages to escape just as CIA fighter jets, guided by the glow sticks, bomb the entire facility. Stanton's fate is left uncertain. In the present day, Snow and Evans receive intel linking the lone survivor of Ordos to a hotel room in Manhattan. Before they can act, Evans is killed. Snow is taken captive by none other than Stanton. The episode begins in old times, and Reese is seen giving up on his life. At the current time, Finch tells Reese that there is no new number and gives him a gift, wishing Reese a birthday. As Reese takes a day off, Finch researches the new number, Sarah Jennings. Reese opens up the box and finds a key inside. In the police station, Agent Donnelly from the FBI gets in touch with Carter and reveals to her many files that could lead to finding Reese. However, the investigation is in New Rochelle. A person named Arndt has been dealing drugs. If you remember, Jessica was married to Peter Arndt. She is alarmed and gets a call from Finch. Both have something important to talk about. They meet up at a bar, and Carter is surprised. Why would a fancy man pick this place? After Carter shares the information and leaves, the waitress comes, and it happens to be Sarah, the new person of interest. Back in 2011, Reese goes to a hospital to check up on Jessica, but sadly, she had been reported dead in a car accident 2 months ago. Reese is in despair and bumps into a man in a wheelchair. In the present, Fusco is doing the groundwork of Sarah, who is living under an alias, only going to work and return, nothing else, and no credit history. Reese is bored out of his mind and has nothing going on. In New Rochelle, the FBI and Carter enter the house of Arndt, where she learns about the death of Peter's wife, Jessica. Fusco is following Sarah, but she vanishes and Finch takes over. Finch goes to a bar where she works and asks for her, and government marshal overhears his conversation, reaching out to him. It is revealed that Sarah is a fugitive, but Finch shows ignorance, yet it's not working out. Suddenly, Reese arrives and takes Finch away. Having no other option, Finch reveals that he doesn't want Reese on this job because it would be sensitive to him. Finch also says that when a number comes up over and over, it means something horrifying.
They were living with the person who would eventually kill them.
Sarah returns to her apartment and finds Reese there. He wins her trust and Finch discovers her former identity, Sarah Atkins. Carter gets her files on Peter Arndt and learns that Jessica died in the car crash and Peter survived it, only to die 2 months later. A flashback occurs to 2011. Peter is getting ready and there are many cards on the table as of late Jessica. He leaves and Reese is keeping an eye on him. Entering the house, he is faced with nothing but deafening silence and sorrow. Reese was too late. Moving to the present, Carter looks at the x-rays of Jessica Arndt and figures out that she was murdered and things were made to seem so like an accident. Donnelly calls Carter as he finds a lead. Turns out that Sarah's husband is a U.S. Marshal and Reese wants to teach him a thing or two. Going in, he threatens the husband and makes enemies of entire law enforcement. While on the other end, Sarah vanishes. She is at the train station, but the police are called since she has an arrest warrant on her head. Fusco delays the arrest so Finch and Reese can act fast. Finch tracks the car which took Sarah and Reese tells Harold to get out. Questioning Jessica's mother, Donnelly leaves and tells Carter that the man in the suit has attacked the marshal, but Finch reassures her that they have it under control. Carter returns and soon discovers that Jessica had a connection with another man before Peter. Going through Jessica's things, she finds a photo of Reese and Jessica. In a flashback, Reese is haunted by the memories. Finch suggests involving police to take care of Jennings, but this case is too personal for Reese. He takes down Jennings and rescues Jessica. Carter stops him on the road, but he is not in the mood to talk and leaves. In a flashback, Peter returns and Reese is there. Peter is concerned about what he wants, but Reese doesn't give a clear answer.
When you find that one person who connects you to the world, you become someone different. Someone better. When that person is taken from you, what do you become then?
Reese comes to Finch and asks if he knows about Jessica. Finch says that they weren't working together back then. Nothing could have been done. He gives the address for the birthday gift. At the police station, Carter gets the file on Reese and decides to shred it. However, she decides to keep the photo of Reese and Jessica. Turns out that Reese didn't kill Jennings but framed him out of the country, and he won't be able to return. Reese comes to his new place and can have a new start at things. Back in the past, something is revealed. They have a new number. When they meet, Reese inquires about how the machine communicates, wanting to ensure he can continue their mission if anything happens to Finch. Their latest member belongs to Henry Peck, a supposed financial analyst who is actually an intelligence analyst for the NSA, working at their Manhattan listening post. As they watch, Peck is framed for drug abuse and subsequently fired. Soon after, a highly trained assassin arrives at Peck's apartment to kill him. Reese steps in just in time, saving Peck, but he escapes in the chaos. Later, with Finch listening in, Peck calls the NSA deputy director, desperate for answers. He reveals that someone is trying to kill him for questioning a name that mysteriously appeared in one of his reports. He never wrote it, but it somehow led to the government preventing a major terrorist attack. His call is stonewalled, but Finch immediately understands the truth. Peck has unknowingly stumbled upon the machine's existence. Seeking more information, Peck reaches out to Alicia Corwin, but all she offers him is a cryptic clue: sibilance. Determined to uncover the truth, Peck infiltrates the NSA listening post while Reese and Finch monitor him from a distance, reluctant to intervene and expose more than Peck already knows. Before he can act on his findings, the assassin strikes again. Finch warns that this is disastrous. Someone high up in the office is directly connected to the machine, meaning their location is now compromised. Using the call to track them, the assassin ambushes Reese and Peck, crashing their car. Reese barely manages to defeat him, but Peck escapes once again. Finch intercepts a message from Peck arranging a meeting with a reporter and arrives in his place. He confirms that Peck's suspicions about the machine are correct, but urges him to stop digging before it gets him killed.
Because I built it.
But Carter finds a single scrap of paper that reads sibilance. Meanwhile, Reese follows subtle clues in the library, tracing Finch's routine to a coffee cart and then what he believes to be Finch's home. But the house isn't Finch's. It belongs to Grace, an artist who was once engaged to Finch. She still believes he died years ago. As Reese leaves, he notices Finch watching from a distance. Finch finally confesses that he was once engaged to Grace but faked his death to protect her from the dangers of the machine. Flashbacks to 2009 reveal that the machine is complete. and Finch is making the final adjustments before handing it over to the government. Nathan remains troubled by the government's decision to ignore irrelevant persons of interest, believing they still deserve help. Later, Nathan meets Alicia Corwin for drinks to discuss the handover process, including how the machine's intelligence will be relayed to the government and how many people are aware of its existence. During their conversation, Nathan casually mentions that 8 people know about the machine, but Alicia immediately corrects him. Only 7 people should know. Though he tries to brush it off as a slip, she remains suspicious. Following their meeting, Nathan returns to IFT and urges Finch to add a safeguard in case the government ever misuses the machine. Finch refuses, arguing that creating a backdoor would leave the system vulnerable to exploitation. Determined, Finch shuts down the machine's hardware to finalize the handover. However, Nathan later sneaks back in, reactivates the system, and secretly installs a new core program called Contingency to ensure the machine has an emergency failsafe. In a final scene, we revisit Finch's conversation with Peck, but this time it is revealed that Alicia Corwin was sitting at a nearby table, eavesdropping. When she hears Finch openly admit that he built the machine, she looks visibly shocked and unsettled. Dr. Caroline Turing, a discreet psychologist catering to New York's elite and dangerous, becomes the latest number. One of her clients, Hans Frederickson, a shaggy lawyer, subtly warns that she could face serious consequences if she ever spills his secrets. Meanwhile, Fusco has risen through the ranks of HR, earning a meeting with its inner council. HR has turned to murder for hire to sustain its operations, and Caroline is their next target. Reese and Finch suspect that one of her clients wants her silenced to protect their secrets. Reese goes undercover as a patient to install surveillance equipment in her office and check her appointment records. Meanwhile, Finch attempts to trace the payment for the hit but hits a dead end. He calls in Zoe Morgan to help identify which of Caroline's clients might have arranged the contract. As HR's enforcers prepare their ambush, Reese intervenes, rescuing Caroline and taking her to a secure downtown hotel. HR follows them. Donnelly, having spotted Reese escorting Caroline into the hotel on security footage, assumes she is a hostage and mobilizes agents to apprehend him, forcing Reese and Caroline to retreat to the rooftop, where Finch directs them to steal a helicopter. However, the FBI arrives first, deploying a tactical team onto the helipad. Zoe uncovers that Hans is actually a fraud, hired to pose as Caroline's patient and intimidate her. Finch leaves the library to execute an escape plan, unaware that Alicia has broken in and begun searching through his files. With no way out, Finch enacts his plan, hacking a rooftop signal dish to disrupt communications across Manhattan, except for select frequencies. This move throws both the FBI and HR into disarray, giving Reese and Caroline the opportunity to flee. Simmons, attempting to cover HR's tracks, cuts the hotel's CCTV feeds, but Donnelly catches him in the act just before the cameras go dark. In the hotel restroom, Carter confronts Fusco at gunpoint, suspecting him of being HR's mole. Fusco confesses that he has actually been Reese and Finch's informant within the NYPD, shocking Carter. Before they can discuss further, Finch calls, urging them to get downtown to assist Reese. Fusco then reveals that his deep cover in HR has provided him with the identities of its members and a way to dismantle the organization. Reese and Caroline escape through the service tunnels, where they discover Simmons' car, holding something of interest in the trunk. As Finch waits at a waterfront rendezvous, Reese sends Caroline ahead while he stays behind to deal with Simmons and HR. However, the person who gets into Finch's car isn't Caroline, it's Alicia, armed and demanding to know how to shut down the machine. Alicia, exhausted from running, insists that the machine itself is responsible for Nathan's death. Finch counters, arguing that the real threat isn't the machine but the people controlling it. He accuses her of hiring HR to kill Caroline to force him into the open, but Alicia has no idea what he's talking about. Back at the hotel, Reese is nearly out of ammunition when Carter and Fusco arrive just in time to back him up. Across town, Zoe breaks into Caroline's office and discovers inconsistencies. Photos and diplomas are forgeries. When she attempts to access Caroline's laptop, the system self-wipes, leaving only one word repeated across the screen: root. At the waterfront, Caroline suddenly turns on Alicia, shooting her in the head before getting into Finch's car. She introduces herself as Root, revealing that she orchestrated the entire hit to draw Finch out, comparing it to a trust fall. With a gun pointed at him, she forces Finch to drive. Later, Reese finds Alicia's body. Thanks to Carter and Fusco, Donnelly gathers enough evidence to arrest HR's leadership, but Simmons escapes. Left without a clear path forward, Reese returns to the library. Standing on a street corner, he looks up at his surveillance camera and speaks.
He's in danger now, because he was working for you. So you're gonna help me get him back.
The machine processes the statement. The payphone rings. Reese answers.